Have you ever wondered how one of the oldest civilizations in the world came to be? In this video, we will take you through China's incredible journey, from its ancient dynasties and epic conquest to becoming a global superpower. We'll cover key moments like the rise of the Xia and Qin dynasties, the Mongol conquest, the Ming dynasty, the fall of the Qing dynasty, and the rise of modern China under Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping. Join us as we explore China's fascinating history and how it has shaped the world we live in today. Let's dive in. The dawn of Chinese civilization. Imagine more than 4,000 years ago, in a land full of myths and legends, where people were beginning to build one of the most influential cultures ever known to man. This was China. The story of China begins with its very first dynasty, the Xia dynasty, which historians believe existed between 2100 BCE and 1600 BCE. Even though there's not much solid proof about the Xia dynasty, they're often considered the starting point of China's long history. Then came the Shang dynasty around 1600 BCE. This dynasty is famous because it's one of the first to have actual records and evidence of its existence. The Shang dynasty was known for creating the first Chinese writing system. They didn't have books like we do today, but instead, they wrote on animal bones and shells. Pretty cool, right? Imagine using a turtle shell or an ox bone to write on. What do you think it must have been like to live back then? Can you imagine trying to carve pictures and symbols into a hard shell just to communicate with others? The rise of the Qin dynasty. As time went on, China became divided into several states. However, there was one state, Qin, that became more powerful than all the others. In 221 BCE, the Qin army, led by Qin Shi Huang, conquered the other states and united China for the first time in history. This marked the start of the Qin dynasty, and Qin Shi Huang became the very first emperor of China. Now, Qin Shi Huang was no ordinary emperor. He wanted everything to be the same everywhere in his empire. He made sure the weights and measures were the same across the land. He even made the wheels of carts the same size so they would fit perfectly into the roads. Perhaps the most famous thing Qin Shi Huang did was build the Great Wall of China. Can you believe that this enormous wall, stretching across thousands of miles, was built to protect the people of China from invaders? It's so big that it can even be seen from space. Would you want to live in a time when such a massive project was taking place? What kind of life do you think people had while building something so incredible? The Mongol conquests. Hundreds of years later, another major chapter in China's history unfolded. The Mongols, led by Genghis Khan and later his grandson Kublai Khan, stormed into China and conquered much of it. Kublai Khan, who was both a warrior and a scholar, became the first non-Chinese emperor of China when he established the Yuan dynasty. Though Kublai Khan was a powerful conqueror, he also had a deep respect for the culture of the people he ruled. He was a big fan of art, literature, and religion. He welcomed many different religions into China, like Buddhism, Taoism, and even Christianity. But he also had big dreams of expanding the Mongol Empire beyond China. Have you ever heard of trebuchets? They were huge catapults used by the Mongols to launch flaming arrows and bombs. This terrifying weapon helped them defeat the Chinese Song dynasty in 1279. What would you think if you saw these ancient weapons in action? The Ming dynasty and the Age of Trade. After the Mongols, the Ming dynasty rose to power from 1368 to 1644. The Ming rulers worked hard to rebuild China after the Mongol rule, focusing on restoring Chinese traditions and strengthening the empire. One of the most famous aspects of the Ming dynasty was their beautiful porcelain vases. These delicate works of art are still highly prized today, centuries after they were created. However, life in China wasn't always peaceful during the Ming era. There were many revolts against the ruling government. One of the most terrifying events happened in 1626, when a massive explosion destroyed a part of the capital city, Beijing. Over 20,000 people were killed. It was seen as a warning from the gods that the Ming dynasty's rule was coming to an end. During the 1700s, China's economy began to boom. They traded things like tea, silk, and porcelain with Europe and other parts of the world. But there was one problem: opium. This addictive drug started being smuggled into China by British traders, and it caused huge problems for the Chinese people. What would you do if you were in charge and had to deal with a crisis like this? How would you handle the pressure of keeping your people safe and healthy? The Opium Wars and the fall of the Qing dynasty. By the 19th century, the situation had gotten worse. The British wanted to keep selling opium in China, but the Chinese emperor banned it. This led to the Opium Wars, where the British used their powerful navy to force China to open its doors to opium once again. This left China in a terrible situation. In 1842, China had to sign the Treaty of Nanking, which gave Britain control over several important Chinese ports and legalized the opium trade. This treaty was a humiliating defeat for China. But China wasn't done with change. In 1911, the Qing dynasty collapsed, and China entered a period of chaos and instability. Different groups fought for control, and the country was divided into factions. Mao Zedong and the Communist Revolution. After years of turmoil, Mao Zedong led a revolution and established the People's Republic of China in 1949. Mao promised to bring equality and a better life for the working class. But, as history shows us, things didn't go as smoothly as expected. Mao's government became increasingly harsh, especially during the Cultural Revolution. This period, starting in 1966, aimed to rid China of anything that wasn't seen as purely communist. Many people suffered during this time, including intellectuals, students, and anyone who didn't follow Mao's beliefs. Millions of people died from violence, starvation, and the purges that took place. Can you imagine living through such a difficult time? What would it feel like to be part of a society where everyone had to think the same way? The modern rise of China. When Mao Zedong passed away in 1976, Deng Xiaoping took over. Deng decided that China needed to change. He reopened universities, encouraged trade with other nations, and focused on improving the economy. This marked the beginning of China's rise as a global superpower. China today, a global superpower in 2025. As of 2025, China has solidified its position as a global superpower, exerting significant influence across economics, technology, politics, and the environment. Under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, who has been in power since 2013, China has focused on becoming the world's leading power, surpassing the United States in critical sectors like technology and manufacturing. Xi's leadership has been marked by various reforms, strengthening China's role as a major global player. One of China's most ambitious focuses today is technological advancement, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence, 5G networks, and green energy. The country is also investing heavily in renewable energy sources like solar and wind power to become carbon neutral by 2060. This is particularly significant as China is the world's largest emitter of carbon dioxide, but it is actively working on reducing its environmental footprint. Beyond technology, China is expanding its global influence through initiatives such as the Belt and Road Initiative. This project involves large-scale investments in infrastructure projects around the world, including roads, railways, and ports spanning countries from Africa to Europe. This effort is not only about economic growth, but also about building long-lasting international relationships and securing China's place on the world stage. However, China faces challenges domestically as well, particularly an aging population, which could lead to economic struggles in the future. The government also faces difficulties in maintaining social stability and controlling its vast population. Under Xi Jinping, the Chinese government has also taken a more centralized approach, tightening control over freedom of speech and internet access and increasing surveillance, which has led to protests and debates, especially in regions like Hong Kong and Taiwan, where calls for greater freedoms persist. So, what does the future look like for China? Well, with its incredible focus on technology, global influence, and modern-day policies, China is a country to watch. But as it faces challenges like an aging population, political tensions, and international relations, it will be interesting to see how it navigates its way forward in the coming years. So, what do you think about China today? Will it continue to grow and lead in the world, or will it face setbacks? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing insights into history, culture, and the world today.